So, you want to invest in property but are scared of making mistakes? Or you already have but have made mistakes? How about if I told you there were 7 fatal mistakes to avoid when investing and that most investors and experts might not even know it? Making any one of these mistakes could cost you thousands of dollars and set you back years. But by avoiding them, you are likely to add 100 to 200% onto your bottom line. And if you're interested to discover what are the 7 fatal mistakes that you must avoid as a wise property investor, then make sure you watch this video till the end. Yes, it's that important. First, location is the most important factor. Wrong. Location has always been a popular mantra chanted by every property gurus and property investors as the top number 1 important criteria when it comes to buying property. Sure, the property itself needs to be located in a desirable location to owner, occupiers and tenants. However, one of the more important factors, if not most important, is that we should look into the foundation of the development. In other words, the soil of the land the property is built upon. Failing in this factor could be deadly. Incidents related to soil and foundations of buildings are not unheard of in our country, more so in developments involving slopes and terrain. Although it has been nearly 3 decades, Malaysians can never forget the tragedy of Highland Tower in Ulu Kelang, Selangor, where torrential rainfall caused a landslide, resulting in the collapse of Block 1 of the 3-block Highland Towers condominium enclave. Remember, though, location does 80% of the heavy lifting of your investment property's capital growth, but if the developer did a shoddy job, cutting corners, substandard qualities, and the soil which the building was sitting on was weak and the foundation was not reinforced rightly, when you start to stay inside the property, you could only start to expect more and more issues to manifest one after another. Examples such as cracks on the walls, sinking land, issues with garage, doors, windows, walls, uneven doors, windows, crack on floor, and etc. All this would pose not only safety concern but also a possibility of a huge financial loss in the near future. Although the developer is supposed to adhere to strict procedures with regard to the said development, but as a wise consumer, we should also do our own research on the surrounding areas for any cases of previous weak soil issues. And if we suspect that the area is of a high risk, we can ask the developer whether have they employed an independent checker, which is a good practice in high-risk areas. An independent checker is a third-party experienced engineer who are not part of the consultant team. This independent checker will produce a geotechnical review report to assist the consultant team and developer. So as a buyer, we have to make sure the developer has done their part, and we can also do our due diligence just to be sure. Second, buying without knowing your end goal. I'm sure you have heard many people when quizzed upon why they plan to buy certain property. Is it for their own stay or investment? Most of the time, the answer you would get are, not sure yet. Maybe for own stay, or maybe as vacation home, or maybe to rent it out in future. Really not sure yet. Without knowing exactly what is your end goal upon buying, how would you decide what type of property to buy and at which location? What if you plan to buy it for own stay or to rent it out to family, but you are now looking at a family home with no off-street parking or a badly secured yard? Would that property even cut it? Or how about if you plan to buy an executive style condominium, but this condominium is located very far away from the CBD area? Do you think it would be easy for you to rent it out in future when you get the key to the property? So before buying a property, always be clear on your end goal. If it's meant for rental property, see that the location of the property is strategic and know the potential target market you are likely to attract. Then put yourself in the shoes of your future tenants and ask yourself if these future tenants would find your property to be attractive, and identify who will be the potential future owners or buyer of your property as well. Third, underestimated the importance of cash flow. Do remember that the top number one reason we want to invest into property is to grow our wealth steadily but surely. So protecting our capital should always be our rule number one when doing any kind of investment that includes real estate. So only buy or invest into a property if you have sufficient financial buffer. That is, some money set aside or available for a rainy day, like if interest rate were to hike and monthly installment increase, you would be able to cope with the repayment comfortably, or if the property was unable to get rented out immediately and need to be vacant for 3 to 4 months, you would still be able to afford the monthly installment without much struggle. And if there are some repair needed for the rental property, you would have the extra cash to pay for it, and the lease may go on and on, but you get the essence of it. Hence, it's never wise to over-leverage and overstretch our cash flow when it comes to investing. This way, you would never find yourself under tremendous pressure when things gone south, and worse, find yourself having the bank foreclose on your property if you defaulted on your mortgage repayment repeatedly. Fourth, falling in love with the property. Buying an investment is not the same as buying your home sweet home. You don't need to love the property, you just need to make sure the numbers and the return on investment stack up in your favor. So make sure you leave your own likes and dislikes behind and instead focus on crunching the numbers in terms of future potential capital growth, potential rental yield, and make sure you buy an investment grade property in a location which is primed for strong long-term capital appreciation and solid rental demand. If the numbers don't look good, no matter how much you like the property, you should pick up your legs and walk away. Fifth, buying HDA high-rise for short-term rental. If you are looking to buy an investment property to run short-term rental, or some call it Airbnb, make sure you avoid buying high-rise built under Housing Development Act, or HDA in short. Personally, I have encountered this setback where eventually, when the developer handed the building to the residents to manage, the newly formed MC has the rights to pass new bylaws to ban homestay. I'm very sure many of you could have passed by some high-rise with banner displaying no homestay or Airbnb is banned here. Recalling upon my own experience, when I first purchased one of these high-rise, we were being informed by the developer that they allow Airbnb activities. But once the reign were passed over to the residents, the new MC passed new bylaw to ban homestay. And I also heard there were some investors who bought 3 to 4 units at one go with the plan of running homestay and suddenly found themselves back holding this unit, unable to continue doing short-term rental. Some even got panicked and cut their asking rental prices in order to rent out their unit fast to long-term tenants, which eventually caused a big negative dent on their pockets every month. Ouch, that's painful. For my case, I always practice caution. So I only bought one unit, so it's bearable, but I need to rent out the unit to long-term tenant at lower rental rate. So after this incident, I learned that it's either I buy a high-rise built on a commercial building if I didn't want to face premature ban on homestay rental, or if I really need to buy a high-rise built under HDA, I would want to have a thorough understanding of the long-term rental price I'm likely to fetch should short-term rental got banned, and how this amount to compare to my monthly loan repayment before I sign on the dotted line to buy the property. This is imperative in protecting ourselves from having to dig our hand into our own pockets to fund the shortfall each month. It can be quite painful over the long run. 6. Asking property guru if this is a good buy. People in general have the tendency to think that if someone is a property guru, he or she must know the best and have the answer to all instantly. People tend to ask the property guru if a property deal is a good or a bad buy and expect an instant answer. How wrong could they be? Do you know that unless that property guru is very familiar with the location of your property in terms of localized market rental rate, localized supply and demand, and etc., otherwise, he would not be able to give you the answer off the bat without first doing his own due diligence. The calculus of property buying differs from each state and each localized area. My sincere advice to you is, instead of asking for an answer, ask instead for the formulas on how to decide if a property is a good or a bad deal, and follow the formulas, do your own due diligence, and arrive at the conclusion on your own. 7, and the last one, you fail to learn. Remember to treat your first investment as a great learning opportunity and use it wisely. No matter how prepared or informed you are as an investor, as you step out into the real world of investing, just know that you are still bound to make mistakes along the way, probably lesser than others who dive into it without prior preparation. Do not get frightened by this prospect. Instead, remind yourself to use any past mistake as your teacher and don't repeat the same mistake on your next property purchase. And know that the landscape of property investing is constantly changing, and keep learning to stay on top of the game. If you are a newbie, my advice is to start small and fail small. Taking baby steps always helps. In this case, even if you fall or lose, you would not get too disheartened and afraid to enter the market again. Taking big steps and risks without any prior knowledge and experience can cost you your hard-earned money big time. Once you have mastered all this, you can fast-track your way to riches. You will have an unfair advantage over other investors, even many experienced investors who simply do not know these 7 fatal mistakes to avoid. If you found value in my video, do like, share, and subscribe to my channel if you have not done so. If you have something else to say or ask, feel free to comment it below. Bye, and I shall see you again in my next video.